Oke, Wan, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This day we meet again. This day I will be explain about one's knowledge. The title of knowledge is anatomy paper. One's paper have some previous or something we can according this research, how can we make the anatomy and correct framework from the anatomy, so that's what will we read become a good journal. This is an interest journal to read, and our reading is an internationally reputable and recognized reading. So we have some we are create interest and have internationally reputable, and everyone's reads our journal. We can know about something knowledge new. I think this is very interesting, especially for lecture or for the students. If our have one research and we can share about this knowledge. Anatomy. This is an anatomy paper. Is the correct order or order in writing a journal, and sometimes we don't attention to it. Especially we can find something in this paper, and the methodology for this paper is the way we do, the way is which we deliver it in our. In this slide, the anatomy paper. The first of anatomy is abstract. Abstract divided in 100 until 150 words. What's the component of anatomy paper? One is the background of research. If we find some background in our research, background to be interesting and have this is very important to think, and this is very important to we can take something, or we can research this the time. The background will be important to our. We can highlight the important background. Example is the earthquakes or maybe tide water in the road's pavement and etc. And the second is the purpose. The research must be have a good purpose. The purpose will be connecting in the conclusion, and the methods have one way that the ways is which very delivered in the reading. The methodology method for the research is very important role, that this is a determining the best result, so that the quality of research will affect it. And the method is very interesting. We can contributing to the conclusion, and the principal result have the major conclusion. We have the major conclusion and the minor conclusion. And one sentence, we can take this the contributes to build to the knowledge in these years or this condition. We can update in every years for the contributes to fill this process. Okay, next, the body of paper. Body of paper is once have a title interest. Title divided in three parts. One part is the subject of title, and the second is the object of the title, and the third of the title is the method or methodology, where we use this method for find the result of this process. We must have a keyword, one keyword until 5 keywords. So introduction, we can find what is noun, our understanding of our understanding of the word, 4 until 5 sentences. And the next component is what's the unknown. Unknowns, we can know unknown is what the gap we can do want to fill. This is consists of 4 until 5 sentences, and have a connecting in the what is known, the understanding, and have a gap to one to fill this research or this reading. And the next anatomy paper is how and why. How we make this research and why we make this research, we can explain very definitely or maybe very detailed, for we can now explain our research. And we must have a solve fill the gap. The process research, and this research, what is the gap, or what's the difference, or your rationality and your rationales and purpose for this hypothesis. What is the sentences? For this is, we can make two parts. One part is the urgency of research, and the solution provided novel the research of a purpose. And the research method consists of the research design, population, and sample instrument for research. And this research method consists of 4 until 5 sentences. There is research design, population sample for instrument and analysis data, or maybe we can know this is a data analysis. And the result of this result, we can have the result why or what result did we get. This is we can find for the interviews, observation, documentation, and the conclusion of the research for the methodology. The research, this is a debate into the one is qualitative process and quantitatively research. And the result, what result we can get, this is for 4 until 5 sentence. The sentence 1 about the figure and table, 2 and figure table, and 3 the figure and table. We must have the simply conclusion, and the conclusion we will now, this is very important, and the result of our research. If we have the conclusion is very much, we can have the conclusion is bad conclusion. We must take over this conclusion and have a simple conclusion, and every reading can be understand this conclusion is very well. Okay, the next anatomy, the discussion. There is how did the result fill in the gaps. We can find the gaps or filling the gaps in 5 sentences. The conclusion, what does this mean for us going forward? What is the conclusion is answer from research objects and support the sentence point, the other point, and the research contribution. The research contribution, we must have some interest, and some research contribution is not have experience, or maybe this have a new something we can know and very interest to explain in student or section. If we do all the anatomy paper, I think we can have the international table and recognize the writing is very well. This is we can explain for the anatomy paper, and we can look this writing for the anatomy paper. We can now, this is a sample of the anatomy paper. Yes, I have this is a title of my paper is Achieving Virtual Change of Prefrontal Still Fiber for Both Condition. Wait some minutes. Oh no. Wait some minutes. I think this is very important to, if we writing some paper for our, this is knowledge, not all people can do it. Okay, we'll open my file. sorry, I want to open the file. Okay. Yeah, this is the anatomy. Okay, this is we can know the anatomy abstract of paper. This component is a background of research. I reaching pavement block once a pavement that is often used in other than flexible pavement and rigid pavement concrete. The purpose is addition of material using hook and steel fiber in the combination of paving blocks to the characteristic and have a major conclusion. The highest compressive result is 24 hours 15 MPa and the fractional strength is 193 MPa. That's have a contribute. The steel fibers composition used where 1% is the best result for the sample. And the next anatomy, we can write this is a detailed assessing fractional strength of paving through steel fiber for full condition. What the component? This is the we can explain the content. Paving block once pavement that's often used to elevator pavement asphalt, and the addition. This international is very easy and fast, has many forms that have more aesthetic value than other pavement, and that can increase the use of paving blocks in ascending in addition to the many good claim of policy of several government in China. We can divide our research in this anatomy. The consists of the what is known, what is unknown, how and where solve the gap, and the research methods. We can explain the manufacturing of paving block test specimen steel paper was carried out manual press, and the research methods consists of the research design, population, and sample instrument for research. And something we forget to explain about the contribute. Contribute is very important to our. We can must with this contribute. This research and other research is contribute to the future of knowledge. And the result, what's the result to get can be for the analyze, methodology, and interview of shape of observation and documentation. Yes, this is for discussion. Conclusion. Some explain we can now some explain for the working journal of the anatomy. We can now from the Professor Pitker. Professor Pitker have some knowledge for our. We can share this video for our. Okay, look this video. All right. Oh, we can share sound for our. Oh, sound. Share sound.
Hi, I'm Professor Carr, University of Minnesota, Department of Chemistry. I'd like to talk to you this afternoon about how to go about writing a research paper. Over the years, I and my group have produced about 400 papers, and in working with new graduate students, I've learned that there's a lot of fear and trepidation, and at the same time excitement about writing a research paper, especially the first one. And I want to see if I can make it an enjoyable and productive experience for you. I believe that it doesn't take that much time to produce a first draft, and that's what I'm going to focus on this afternoon, is how to produce a first draft, which is really important. I think one of the biggest problems in writing a research paper, certainly the first one, is suppressing the urge to procrastinate and put off beginning the work. And that's part of my strategy in the way I approach writing research papers. So before you get ready to write the paper, there are some important preliminaries. Number one, you should review your own notes that you've taken on papers that you've read that are relevant to the work that you're writing up. And you should renew your literature search. This is very important to have this done before you start writing your paper. The second preliminary issue is very important, and it goes back to high school, and that is you need to determine who your audience is. I'm sure you were taught this way back when. And this is important in writing up a research paper. You need to know what the purpose of the paper is. Is it a research paper? Is it a review paper? Is it a tutorial paper? What journal is it intended for? Are the primary readers of the paper going to be undergraduates or researchers? But as always with any paper, the real primary reader is the reviewer. These are the gatekeepers, and it is very important that you address their concerns, and the more you can get them addressed in the first draft, the better off you are in finally getting the paper published. So, preliminaries don't count for the weekend that you're going to write your paper. You've got to have your preliminaries done. Okay, now before getting into the details, I want you to understand what I consider to be the big picture. First of all, producing your initial draft is the creative part of the job. And what I want you to do, what I think you need to do, is resist the temptation to correct mistakes as you produce this first draft. Your job now is to produce a complete first draft, not a perfect first draft. Editing is the second stage of the work. It is the critical thinking, analytical part of the job. And editing at this point, before you've completed your first draft, is a waste of time. Fixing a sentence and making it perfect, if it never appears in the paper because it turns out to be irrelevant, is a waste of time. Okay, so over the years, I've developed an algorithm, and I've talked to a number of my colleagues, and many of them use the same algorithm. And it runs roughly as follows. Number one, just get started. Don't procrastinate. Get something down on paper. Number 2, you need to work from an outline. The reason an outline is important is you may not finish the paper in one sitting. You probably won't finish the paper in one sitting. And if you've got an outline, you can pick the work up back where you finished before. You're not going to have to read it over. You're going to know where to begin. The third part of this is that the outline is easy to do. So it's actually fun to write an outline. Before you have a paper to write in your head, you've got your data. You've got your tables of data, you've got your figures. Take those and put them in order. Arrange them in some logical sequence, much like you might arrange them for a talk. And that list of figures and tables in order is really the outline for the paper. Now the next point is the following. Do not write the introduction to the paper at this time. The introduction is the hardest part of a paper to write. So don't start there, because the urge to procrastinate is going to kick in again. The easiest part of a paper to write is the experimental. It's the part of the paper that you're most familiar with. You've done the experiments. You know how they were done. So write the experimental and you will be moving forward. It's an easy part to write. The next part of the paper that I would focus on would be the results and discussion, following the outline that you created from your list of figures and your list of tables. This is a little bit more difficult to write than the experimental, but you're really getting started now. Okay, so basically you've got a draft consisting of the experimental and the results and discussion. Once that's done, the really hard part of writing kicks in, and that's doing the hard critical editing. But you've got a first draft, and that's the important thing. Now the critical part is when you convert that into clear, concise, and coherent English, and make sure that the science that you've written is correct. The final part of the algorithm is the cleanup. Write the conclusions. Personally, I like conclusions or summaries that is a numbered format. Conclusion 1, conclusion 2, conclusion 3, where these are quite clearly separated from one another, and it's easy to see the contributions of the work. Now we have to do the introduction. And there are two very important things that need to be covered in the introduction. Number one, why was the study done? What is its purpose? Number two, you've got to collect the relevant, essential background information and put that together in the introduction. You need to be able to give the readers a sufficient background to understand what you did. So the very last step in following this algorithm is producing the references for the paper. Actually, I think it's a good idea for you to write some notes as you go through the first draft of the manuscript, indicating what references might be needed, what they would be about, but not to stop and collect the references at that time, because it's just going to interrupt the entire flow of the work. But when the manuscript is just about finished, you need to get the exact references so that the reviewers and the readers can really find the information without trouble. It's extremely annoying to reviewers and readers when these are not done properly. So basically you've got the job done now, and I want to leave you with a few final words. There's an old saying attributed to Sir Francis Bacon: reading maketh a full man, conference a ready man, and writing an exact man. And each of those things that we do in doing science, we talk to our fellow scientists, we go to conferences, we do a lot of reading, but in producing a paper for publication, that's when we want to focus on our critical skills, when we want to make sure that our scientific arguments are correct and logical. So writing is the most exacting part of what we do as a scientist. Some final points. Always review the manuscript requirements for the journal of interest. There's no point in a paper that doesn't follow the manuscript requirements. It will probably be returned unreviewed with a semi-nasty note from the editor. And really finally, I want to leave you with a few references on writing. There are some classic books here. There are some books very relevant to writing a paper on chemistry. And I want to point out a wonderful short paper by Professor Royce Murray, the former editor of the journal Analytical Chemistry: Skillful Writing of an Awful Research Paper, 7 Rules to Follow. This little paper is a gem. It in mock style tells you the worst things you can do in writing a manuscript. I hope that you'll find this helpful, and it was a pleasure being here. Some reviewers get really bent out of shape, especially if it's one of their papers.
Okay, fine. This is a video for Professor Peter Cat. I'm sorry, not so much for the video not fluent for the video, but we can touch this knowledge for the professor. We can improve to our skill writing and improve to our skill to reading manuscript, or maybe once of the journal book or something. With the writing we can now about something knowledge, and our we can find some knowledge in the words and life in everyday. I think this video we can share with you. I'm sorry if I have some wrong, I have some say. Thank you very much. We can end this session. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.